Hey everyone, my name is Sam,
And I'm Melissa.
and today's video is about how I grew up with 4 moms.
And if you want to hear more interesting stories about how Sam grew up in a polygamous family, then hit the like button, hit subscribe, and please leave comments with all of your questions for us. And we would love to make more videos answering the questions that you have about living that lifestyle. And if you have any questions specifically about how and why he left polygamy, then go ahead and click on the link above for that video that we just finished making. So go ahead and watch that one about that story. So the one question that he gets asked a lot that we wanted to talk about today was what it's like to have 4 mothers all married to the same father.
And living in the same house.
And living in the same house. Yeah.
Very unique lifestyle, that's for sure.
Like some polygamists, I've seen some polygamous documentaries where like there will be one man and he will have like a wife in every, like in different houses. Where they kind of have different families and the father's just kind of providing for these different families.
I've seen that, yeah.
But where Sam grew up, it wasn't like that. So they were one big family and they stayed in the same home and they shared all the responsibilities and things, right?
Very much like one family. We did everything together. Like you say, we shared responsibilities. So yes, it was very much just one family. But obviously everyone knew whose children belonged to who. So we didn't just get all mixed in and no one knew anything who belonged to who. But yes, as far as what we did and how we lived, and as far as siblings go, we were all just one big family.
As far as like disciplining though, how did that work? Like, was only your mother allowed to discipline you, or could like any of the mothers? Could you get in trouble by any mom, or is it just yours?
Yes, so all moms were in charge of all kids. Obviously, I feel that your own mom would feel a little bit more, I guess, more in charge of you in a way. So it was a little bit different in that way, but it definitely, every mom was in charge of making sure that you were being obedient, that you were following and doing what father said to do, and all that. But it was a little bit different though.
Were like household chores like separated? Because I feel like as a mom and my duties as a mother, did they like separate them up by mother or like by responsibility, or did like was one mom in charge of all the laundry? Because that would be my nightmare. Like if I was the mom in charge of laundry, I'd be like, no, game over, not okay. No. So like, how'd that work?
So no, it seemed like all of the moms would help with the laundry, and all of the moms would help with just the regular chores. And obviously, with so many kids in the house, we were responsible, for doing a lot of the chores as well around the house. And they wanted us to help with everything inside and outside. But there were definitely things that some moms were better at. For example, there were some moms that were better at cooking, and so they would typically do more of the cooking than others.
Okay.
And other moms would do cooking sometimes, and we'd break a tooth. But no, but it's definitely there were some that were better at one thing than another, and so they would tend to do that more often.
Okay.
Yes.
And what about for father? Like, so did you guys ever think he had a favorite, or did he seem pretty?
Well, of course, my mom was the favorite, right? It's just no. All of the kids probably thought their mom was the favorite, but it seemed pretty even. I mean, as far as I could tell, he would spend time with each of the mothers and seemed to love them equally, as far as I could tell. Awesome. I never saw any specific time where he showed more love towards one than another. So that was definitely,
that's kind of impressive, honestly. Like that takes like a good man to be able to, I feel like, make 4 women feel that way, because I feel like that would be like one of the hardest things. So to be able to do that. How did father meet his wives?
Yeah, so his first wife, which was not my mother. My mother was the second wife, but his first wife he actually met out. She wasn't a member of the FLDS religion at the time, so he met her before she became a member of the FLDS religion. She joined that church, and then at that point they were assigned to each other, or the leaders of the church agreed that they were to be married.
As far as you know,
Yeah.
did she know that, like, by joining, though, that she would end up in a polygamous marriage? Like, that he would end up with other wives, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, she knew what she was getting into.
Okay,
as
I
far
guess that's
as
what I mean.
yeah, she knew that there was a long history of polygamy, and she knew what that was. And so I imagine that she was aware that eventually down the road she would be, sharing the house with another woman.
You would hope that would be
So-
like a talk that you would have
You-
before you get married. So
you would
hopefully that
hope,
was
yeah.
how. And then your mom was the second
was
wife.
the second wife, yes. And so she was assigned to father about 15 years after the first wife came. About 15 years after her father and his first wife were married.
Okay, so they were
Yeah.
tied. So they didn't meet before, like they hadn't dated or
No,
really met
No,
before?
as far as I'm aware, as far as I know, they, like a lot of marriages out there, they met just a couple days before they were to be married. So they were assigned to each other, and didn't really have time to do dating or get to know each other. It was okay, you're to be married, and this is what the leaders of the church want. This is what God wants, and here you go. Take a couple of days to get to know each other, and then voila. so
Oh,
yeah,
man.
it's been pretty quick. I don't know if it was the same for every single person out there, but for the ones that I know of, it was a very quick process.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I know it was the same for the third mother as well. So for father's third wife, it was the same process as your mother, correct?
Uh-huh.
And they were a lot closer, right, than 15 years?
Yes, it would have been closer.
Because I know
don't
that the children are a lot closer in age and
Right,
stuff as far as
right.
that goes. But the fourth mother,
Yes,
I want to tell about.
And I will say really quick here that a lot of people think, man, it's crazy how could these wives all be okay, living in the same house, all sharing the one man. I will say it wasn't always good between the mothers. There were times when I know, for example, when father got married to his third wife, my mother was very unhappy for a time.
I cannot even imagine.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
cannot even imagine.
And of course they just had to suck it up and deal with it because out there the man was in charge, and then the wives followed him and did what he said to do because he was the man in charge and was the one that was doing what God wanted him to do and the leaders of the church wanted him to do. So they would just follow him, and if they were unhappy with something, then they would just have to suck it up. And that's but they
They knew
that's
what they were
kind of
getting into
all
as well.
the women. It's kind of all the women out there kind of knew that was how it was. That's just how it was. So,
yeah, but it's also tricky because that's what they're born into, so they don't really know
No,
better.
no
But
any
at the same
different,
time,
uh-huh.
Once you leave, you realize those feelings of jealousy are normal because
Right. Yeah.
polygamous relationships aren't the normal. But when you're out there, you don't realize, and so I'm sure your mother having those emotions of jealousy and stuff and not understanding because it's I know that this, mentally, I know that this is supposed to be right and
Yeah.
what God's will is, but why
Yeah.
does this feel so wrong? But, yeah.
Yeah,
which is
I mean, and obviously, if you talked to her today and asked her, if she was okay with it, she would say, "Of course, it's what I'm supposed to do. It's what, this is what makes me happy because I'm following what God wants."
yeah.
So that's what she would say. But I did hear that it was very difficult at first for these women when another one joined the family.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can just imagine that in their mind they're thinking, oh, now there's a new one in the home, and he's going to be giving her more attention and be spending more time
Splitting
with
time
her.
up.
And now I'm just kind of old news. But I don't know if there was any of that at first. Maybe I never saw that firsthand.
Gotcha.
But there could have
rumor
been.
on the street.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
probably a little bit different, though, because his fourth wife, she was already married and had already had all of her children, and she was a widow when she was assigned to his father. So
yep.
it was a little bit different when that mother
Yes.
joined.
And that was the only one that I saw because all of the other mothers were already a part of the family. When I was born, there were 3 mothers. So that's just
How
what
it was.
that's just how it was. That's what I was used to. Yeah. So when the fourth one came in, you're right, it was very different because she came in with her children were all grown and out of the house, and in a way she just became a part of the family as almost as just to be a part of a family because her other family had either passed away or they were all grown up and living outside of the home now.
And we'll definitely in another video have to share some funny stories because obviously that mother not having been in the family the entire time and been used to father's rules tended to be like the rebellious mother a little bit because she came into the family later, so she already had her own rules in the way that she liked to do things. So she has some funny stories that are always fun. So we'll have to tell some of
there were a lot of
mother stories.
There were a lot of house rules, a lot of house rules. So someone coming in that had already raised her children and had all that experiences, had all of those experiences, she had a way of doing things, and so we loved it as kids, seeing something new, something that kind of made father a little bit upset. We just laughed and had a great time with it. But yeah, great stories to come about that.
Yeah, but again, if you enjoy hearing our stories about Sam growing up in polygamy, what it's like to have 4 mothers, and lots of other fun stories having to do with mothers or siblings, if you have any questions about what we talked about or comments of other videos that you want us to make, then please leave comments below and questions below and hit the like and subscribe button. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
We'll talk to you soon.